I gotta
And so
say, your avatar is
yeah.
not particularly scary.
No, but I also
Hi, Zizaran here with another little interview, and today we're going to be talking to Nix. Nix plays a lot of different games, and I figure who better to introduce than yourself? Tell us a little bit about you.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me, first and foremost. A lot of people in the community have talked to me about you and I've discovered all your content. And I was like, oh, this guy, he seems chill. I should definitely have a conversation with him. Yeah, so my name's Seb, but I go by Nix on YouTube. And I kind of fell into this Path of Exile hole, I'd say, like this endless pit of loot and currency. About 6 months ago, I was originally a lore YouTuber. Like I was trying to get better at writing. I was always it was always a hobby of mine to write, but I'm terrible at it. So I thought,
Right.
well, what if I wrote something for YouTube, like scripts and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and put them out there? It felt like it would be worth it. So I
Makes sense.
got, yeah, it does. And Diablo 4 was coming out last year in June, and I've always kind of been into Diablo, the lore and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is cool. This game is coming out. It's kind of a good crossroad. Like let's write a few things about the lore of Diablo and make some videos. And so I did that for a while, which was good. I got my start doing that. I think my first 10,000 subscribers had to do with Diablo, and then I was doing a lot of like lore videos that were super detailed, not detailed, but like super involved in like every side quest of Diablo 4. And that was fine. That was great. And then just for fun one day, I was trying to like kind of diversify the content because
Yeah.
ultimately I love talking about video games. I love the whole industry of video games. I love to understand how it all works and stuff like that. So I was like, well, if one day I want to review games, potentially, you should go try some other stuff. Weirdly enough, I fell into ARPGs like young, like a bunch of people, but also it was just Diablo. It was just Diablo, and I was never really going into the weeds of like other ARPGs. And I had just bought a new computer last year, so again, pretty much a console player for a long time. So yeah, anyway, I just do a video called Diablo 4 player tries Path of
Yeah.
Exile for the first time because that was the gist, right? It was like, okay, I am a Diablo. I considered myself a Diablo 4 player, which people gave me a lot of crap about. I was like, yeah, I play Diablo 4. That's the content I make. So Diablo 4 player tries Path of Exile, and I recorded on OBS, which is a piece of software, and I completely messed up the setup, and so the quality was terrible.
I don't know.
Yeah, but it was okay. It was just like 2000 bit rate instead of like 5 or 10, so it was a bit mushy, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is terrible. But okay, why not? And also, I work a pretty involved job, so I wasn't able to edit like a 6 hour video into like a 30-minute video in terms
Yeah.
of time.
Takes a lot of time to edit.
So yeah, it's a whole thing. If you want to do YouTube, like you better love editing.
True.
So
Yeah,
anyway,
and that's an interesting point. You only recently started streaming on Twitch. You've mostly been doing YouTube videos and YouTube live
yeah,
streams, right?
yeah, 100%. And it's the Path of Exile community that got me onto Twitch. I was a bit reticent at first, so I got this guy on Fiverr to edit my video. I was like, where do I find an editor, right? And I thought, okay, I'll get someone on Fiverr, and they did an amazing job with it. Put it up, and then it went out. I just scheduled it on YouTube as you do, and I was like, whatever, like nothing to lose, whatever. And so I put it up, and then it did like 2,000 views in like a week or something like that. And I was like, okay, cool, good try. Moving on. And I don't know what happened, but like overnight, it went up to 50,000 views, 100,000 views. And I think it has to do with like the title potentially. And yeah, it just kind of blew up from there. And
That's
so I was like,
awesome.
oh, I need to do a part two, and that was part two. And then we ended up doing the whole campaign over 6 months, like 5 months probably.
Mhm.
And what an experience, let me tell you. It was so fun. It was just so fun discovering the game. And I would refresh my comments, and I'd have like 10 comments a second telling me what I should be doing. I think a lot of people were getting really frustrated, sorry. Because I'm obviously a complete noob. Like for example, you're supposed to take like the Quicksilver bottle or whatever on the first
Yeah.
few, and I didn't do that. I didn't do that, and everybody. Oh my god, the first thing that people were spamming me about is like press Z. because I didn't press Z
Yeah.
like to show the items, and that was a whole thing. Yeah, so I was kind of not too sure about Twitch because I've like all my eggs were in the one basket, which was YouTube, and I could go on about like what being a YouTuber is like, because I'm kind of understanding it as we go along. I'm coming up to a year on YouTube soon, and I feel like my life has changed in many ways. I'm definitely busier, but I was basically when I was doing the campaign, people were like, "When are you going to stream?
Yeah.
Like, we want to see you stream." And to be completely transparent with you, I've never watched a stream, so I was kind of like,
Nice.
I don't know what that's like. I don't know. I don't. Are you guys gonna? You know, when you have the power of editing, you can
Yeah.
nearly make anything funny. You know, and so I was like, are you guys gonna enjoy me when I'm on a stream when I'm just like hanging out? And so it was a whole discovery thing. So I decided to do a stream on YouTube to celebrate the end of the campaign. Like we finished a campaign with this, busted build that I created. Although YouTube comments kind of created because people were telling me you should do that, you should do that, and so that's what I did.
That's fun.
And so this community built this build really,
That's
and so we
awesome.
finished it, did a stream, and that was insane. We got like 1,000 people peak, which was huge, and people were just pouring in, and there's so much support. I was like tearing up basically on stream because it had been a lot of work, and yeah, it was incredible. So I did that for a couple times, and then I actually got in touch with your editor to ask them questions about like, hey, what do you think about streaming and like editing? And I had a lot of questions about their process and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they were telling me, listen, dude, if you want to stream, you should definitely multi-stream. Like,
Yeah.
because I was saying, do you think I should do YouTube or Twitch? Like, uh,
Both.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. And they said, well, just, today, if your connection can, survive it, do both.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I did my first Twitch stream, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. And Twitch obviously has like a lot of tools to kind of engage with the community. And I was insanely lucky actually to have insanely lucky to have two fantastic moderators who are part of the Discord server that I run with them,
Awesome.
and they're just amazing. That I think like the end thing that I'd like to say here is like the community has just been ridiculously engaging and supportive, and um they got me in touch with you and other folk in the community and stuff like that. So I've just been showered with love, and that's like a lovely feeling, isn't it? So I'm trying to give back by creating better content, better videos, events, stuff like that.
That's awesome. The VTuber thing. I'm so curious. Like, how did that come about?
That's a good question. So basically because of work I can't show my face currently, although I'm trying to iron that out at the moment. But I was very much when I created the channel, I very much wanted to create a vibe to the channel. And so originally I just found some artwork online, and just I like this idea of like a cabal, which is kind of like a group of kind of a bit of a culty vibe, and in Diablo lore, you have like the Primus, who's part of, I can't even remember it now, but like it's part of this cabal of evildoers and followers of the demons and all that. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, like forbidden knowledge and stuff like that. So I thought, okay, what if I got an avatar that's a bit more YouTuber friendly? There's a lot of YouTubers out there who have like
Yeah.
this kind of type of avatar.
I gotta
And so
say, your avatar is
yeah.
not particularly scary.
No, but I also I didn't want to go down that road either. I thought inviting, that's what the vibe I was, cute, inviting, and I thought, okay, until the day I can show my face, which I have no issues with, I just can't do it right now. I'll just have this little guy, and then people are like, "Oh, you're a VTuber," and I was like, "What's a VTuber?" Dude, to be fair, the last 6 months has been a lot of people saying, do this or you're that, and I'm like, I don't know what that is, and then I go
Yeah.
and discover it and learn it and teach, so there's been a lot of that.
That's awesome. And obviously, last Epoch's been happening a lot lately. Have you had a chance to try that yet?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been nice trying a different game. Obviously I've been like deep in the weeds of Path of Exile for a long time.
Yeah,
Well, for a long time.
what I really want to ask you about is what's been, as somebody that's like a little like what's been your first impression between all three of the games? Like, what's given you the best first impression?
Uh, between all three games. Okay.
Asking the hard
So the way,
questions.
so no, I get, yeah, it's very loaded, but I feel like I need to explain it with a bit of context also, because I get this
Sure.
question on Twitch also, and people are like, well, which one do you prefer and stuff like that. And I'd say that like in terms of Path of Exile has been kind of like a mind bending experience,
Mm.
because it feels like every turn there's like the land of forever and ever amazing things happening here, and then you get to the end of that and you're like, wow, that was so fun, I can't imagine this getting better in any way possible. And then you turn right again and you're like, oh my god, there's more. And that's been Path of Exile. Been the experience. And so when people ask me on stream like, well, what do you prefer, and I go by this kind of idea of like, Diablo 4 has my favorite campaign and my favorite story. It's not perfect, obviously,
Mm.
but I really like the world building. I like
Yeah,
the
it's
environments.
very good.
I love the Yeah, I love how it's kind of it's very connected to, I don't know, it's very connected to like the mud and the griminess, and I don't know, it's kind of a depressive place to be in, and I like that.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
even
and I
even the
thought the
music
story
is
was good.
very like
Oh yeah,
melancholic.
yeah, that's true. And I think the characters are pretty good, and yeah, it's my vibe, right? So I enjoy the campaign, and then it kind of drops off after that in terms of like enjoyment.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I was about to
although
say, I think even people that don't enjoy Diablo 4 will probably and say it is very depressive. The game.
yeah, it's a vibe. It's a vibe for sure. And it's also the most accessible of the
Yeah,
three, I'd say. Um,
absolutely.
you don't realize it when you're playing it. I think some people play it and be like, "Woof, this is a complicated passive tree,"
And
and
Diablo
then you
4?
don't realize. Yeah, I think a lot. Yeah, I think like your average person, like I think Mr. and Mrs. Anybody, and
Right,
they've got PlayStation
right.
downstairs, and they're like, "I'm playing an RPG. This
Yeah,
this is a passive
that
tree
that's
with a lot
fair.
of
That's
different
fair.
choices."
It is a
Uh,
very like the genre is very complicated, even at a base level compared to like FIFA or Counter Strike.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a very very good point.
yeah,
So then we've got that, and then in the middle, I think we've got Last Epoch, because I've been playing that quite a bit recently, as
yeah,
much as I can, honestly. And I feel like you've got. I feel it that in Last Epoch, I get a lot of what's great about Path of Exile, and I also get the accessibility of Diablo 4 in a way. Like it feels like baby's first Path of Exile. That's how it feels to me. There's the crafting is kind of straightforward to me, and the passive trees, they kind of load you slowly but surely, and especially on the skills passive tree.
yeah.
Like you start unlocking all these skills and it keeps going. And yeah, I really like Last Epoch, and I also like the story of the team and how they crowdfunded the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's just really cool. And there's a real sense of like community trust, I think, with those developers also, which I touched on in one of my videos.
Oh, nice.
And then at the end of that, you've got Path of Exile, which again, right now, bloated comes to mind, but I don't feel like it's the right word.
No,
It's
I
just so
think it is.
packed.
For a lot of
It's
people, bloated is definitely like the term.
right.
Because a lot of the feedback I'm getting while playing Diablo 4 and Last Epoch, and why so many people are excited for PoE 2 is there's so many people that feel like they missed the train on PoE and that they
Yes, it's
really want to
such a good
play. They
point.
really want to play, but they feel
Yeah.
like they're starting so far behind. So they want to get in on the ground floor on PoE 2. And then
Yeah.
PoE 1, whether it's bloated or not, it just depends whether you're actively playing it or not. Because if you're actively playing it, it's not bloated and you probably want more. But if you're not, yeah, there's so much. It's like, hey, learn all of these things.
Yeah. I've compared it to EVE Online before,
Yep.
where it's got just this huge kind of the wall in front of you. And I think I completely
Did
agree
you
with you,
play
but
Eve?
that's I did for a bit. I tried
Nice.
it and I was like, this is cool. I played like a full like 60 hours of it, and then it just also opened up a lot, and I
I
was like,
have
okay, I can't do this anymore.
14,000 hours in EVE Online. I love that
Oh
game.
my god.
Yeah.
I can understand then.
And I
I
would
don't
actually
even
say Path of
yeah.
Exile is the most complicated game I've ever played. The only one that actually I think it might just be the most complicated game because it has so much depth and so many systems upon systems. The only
Yeah.
game that might be more complicated is maybe Dwarf Fortress.
Yeah, I've heard of Dwarf Fortress.
Yeah.
Great game, great team also.
Yeah.
Like you're completely right. So when we talk about the bloat of Path of Exile, it's I don't want it to like come off as negative. It's a positive in every way, and it's hard to compare Path of Exile to other games. I feel
Yeah.
it's
It
there's
is.
nearly no point. There's just too much. It's just such a huge divide.
Yeah.
So I feel the same way about what you just said about people saying, "Oh, I can't wait for PoE 2 because I missed the boat on PoE 1."
Yeah.
And I think that has to do with the fact that, well, I hope PoE 1 scales back. But then, of course, people in my comments are like, no, 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 it's going to be like everything's the same. It's just like more. And I'm like, well, actually, I wish they were a bit more restrained and focused and came out with like a few mechanics like last Epoch did. But then I know they would get backlash potentially from their usual users, their
I
usual
do think
players would be
PoE
like,
2 is going to be scaled back quite a lot at the start. Like they really, I think they're aiming a lot to be more approachable, especially early on, and maybe be a little bit more careful about what they put in the core game.
right,
Because early on, it was basically like, here's a new league, boom, it's in the core game, it's 8% chance in every zone, and that was like every league for 2 or 3 years. So now we have like 20.
right. And how do you feel about like the new player experience, I guess, at the moment for Path of Exile? Like, what prerequisite would you expect from someone before you're able to tell them, oh yeah, you should definitely try Path of Exile then? That's right up your
So
alley.
it's an interesting question. I just feel like Path of Exile isn't for everyone right now, and I think that's good. There are so few games that are for that type of player because nearly
Right,
every game now is marketed for casual players and things are made very easily. Like, yeah, you can do all the end game content in the game very easily if you only have a few hours a day to play. Whereas Path of
right.
Exile really isn't that game, right? It's like super in depth. It's super like you really have to use third party things and third party tools and guides and stuff to understand the game.
Yeah.
And I think it would be bad if every game was like that, but it's so rare. So I think it's a good thing that we have that like that game for no lifers, like for people that really need something to stick their teeth into.
It definitely resonates with me when you say like you just for no lifers, I guess, because I always feel like I want to play more, and
Yeah.
I always feel like I've not got enough time to play it. It also scratches a part of my brain which likes collecting things.
Yeah.
Like I'm a bit of a collector for like I don't know, like weird stuff. And anyway, I that Path of Exile kind of scratches that itch of like,
Yeah.
ooh, complete all these maps, 13 out of 115 completed. I'm like,
Exactly.
hell
Do
yeah.
you play survival games at all?
Yeah, I play a bit of everything.
So my
Chances
my
are.
favorite part of survival games like Ark and Icarus, etc., is when I'm upgrading the tech tree and I have like a very clear goal.
Right.
I'm moving
Yeah.
towards something, but then when I've got everything and I can just build a big house, I'm like, I'm bored now. I want to quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas
That's such a good
even
point.
getting
Yeah.
to that point in Path of Exile takes so long, and you might not even get to that point. You always have goals in front of you for so many players. And I think that's a big part of what makes Path of Exile feel so good for so long.
Can I ask you what gets you excited about playing Path of Exile? Because you've played so much of it. So when you look at
So
that Steam page and you're like, all right, let's launch it, what gets you excited about playing?
So it's definitely changed a lot. I would have instantly quit the game if it didn't have seasons and leagues. So I used to be a big MMO player and I hated starting over. So I actually initially I hated the idea of seasons and starting over. Even in Diablo
Same, dude.
2, I would play like
Same.
non-season. PoE changed that a lot for me, and now I find myself like every game I play is like Tarkov and everything seasonal. I love jumping on like Rust servers now and again when they
Yeah.
reset. Like I'm such a big fan of that like launch experience. Like I
Oh yeah.
love that. After that though, I definitely have to like focus really hard on setting myself goals or I'm gonna burn out and get bored. So I'll do like, oh okay, this league I want to do the Ubers. It's getting a little bit stale at the moment because right now I don't have any goals. So I'm like, I'm enjoying the first month and a half, and then I'm like, okay, cool. There's a new ARPG. Let's go play that. Or like, oh, let's go play some Tarkov. Um, because whenever new Ubers are added to PoE, that's such a goal for half a year even. But it is over a year now since the last Ubers. So definitely getting a little bit stale. Once I've played like 500 or 600 hours now, I'm like, let's go play something else. Whereas before, I would play like 1,200 hours per season, and that would go like very fast, be very easy. So it's
Those
changed.
numbers are quite crazy. That's some
Yeah.
big numbers there. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I'm a big I don't know if I'd say defender, but I do enjoy a good battle pass. Like
Same.
I think they're pretty good. I love the idea of working towards things and the completionist aspect of it. I do enjoy it. So do you ever feel like you stream quite a lot, right? Like do you feel like you're ever like forced to play Path of Exile, or do you feel like you're a bit free to play whatever you want
No.
at the
As
moment?
long as long as I play any ARPG, I think I can stream any ARPG and have okay viewers. Like I would probably the two games that I would like to have higher viewers on than I do, that would make it feel like easier to stream would be Escape
Yeah.
from Tarkov. Like
Yeah.
having like over 2K viewers on that would be easier than like 1.5. And then Kerbal Space Program on RimWorld. Those three games.
Great games.
Yeah, I love those. Kerbal Space Program's the best. It's just nobody. It's so boring to watch. It's so
It's
boring to
chill
watch.
though. It's
It's
nice for
so
the brain.
chill. Yeah.
Have you ever played Factorio or any of those games?
I
Kind of
don't
like,
like Factorio. I don't know why.
oh my God, really?
I love Satisfactory and I love Dyson Sphere Program. I don't like Factorio.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
I don't know
No, that's
why. I
cool.
should really just give it another try because maybe I was just in a bad mood when I tried it. I don't know.
It
I
stretches the
feel like I
same itch
should
as
like it.
Satisfactory.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm asking him. Like, this guy, he seems to like conveyor belts. Like,
Yeah, I do. I do. I don't know. Maybe it was just I don't know. I do like a little bit of flashy graphics as well. That's why I like the other ones a bit more.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you. That's why last Epoch also, like, when I launched it for the first time, like, this looks good. After playing hundreds of hours
Yeah.
of Path of Exile, I'm like, okay. Obviously, Path of Exile is the older game, but yeah, it did feel quite good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they've done wonderfully. Like I first tried Last Epoch in 2018 and it looked garbage.
That was that was before the Kickstarter, I think, or like
No, right
nearly.
after.
Was it right after? Okay, right. So it was really, really young then. Yeah, you'd be surprised. I think people when they see when we get leaks of games and they
Mhm.
see a game in like its unfinished state, they cast judgment quite quickly, but like they don't realize the amount of polish that goes towards the end to make a game look insane, basically absolutely amazing. So I'm thinking of
Absolutely.
those GTA 6 leaks or 5, I can't remember which one. I'm expecting there's going to be a lot of polish. So it's the same. I played a bit of Last Epoch right before it released, and the graphics were okay, but I felt like the entire aliasing was a
Yeah.
bit rough. And then I played it on launch, and I was like, okay, this looks much, much better.
I know. I was surprised there was such a big visual upgrade on
Yeah,
launch.
it felt
I wasn't
really nice.
expecting that.
Do you have time to like play games not on stream? Are you able to do that when you play Escape from Tarkov? Is it usually on stream, not on
I
stream?
usually play it off stream, yeah. I'm level 46 this wipe, which is like pretty end game.
Yeah,
I've only been playing like, I don't know. Okay, so there's definitely been some nights when I get really addicted and I'll like stream for like 12 hours and then I'll stop streaming and I'll play another 8 hours of Tarkov and then I'll sleep 2 or 3 hours and then do a new stream.
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Wait,
I did a
what?
few
Did
days
you
of
just
that.
say you sleep 2, 3 hours and then you do a new stream?
Yeah, there was a few days of that. I was just really addicted. No,
I
Tarkov is
can't.
great.
Yeah, I know. I've played a bit of Tarkov. I know the feeling of it. It's very intense.
Oh,
I
it's
just
so
get
great.
jump scared, dude. I just get
Yeah,
jump scared.
it's a horror game until you become the horror. It's so fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Feel free not to answer this, but like, how do you find the time, like, in terms of like, how do you juggle your personal life and also like the job that you have now, and also these games that you love to play on your own free time? I don't feel
So
like there's enough time in the day.
there's not. There's not. Have you seen Harry Potter, the Time Turner? No.
Yeah,
That would have been great. So early on, I would just stream and do nothing else. That's the time when I was streaming roughly every Pee Wee League, which cycled every 3 months. I would do like 1,200 or 1,300 hours per league.
yeah,
And then I did nothing else. I don't think I took like 2 or 3 days off my first 3 years, and I lost pretty much all my friends. I lost the girl I was seeing, everything. Like I was just like, you know what, everything less important. Let's prioritize streaming because if I do this well, I can set myself up for life. So I focused really hard on that. I think back then I probably ended up streaming plus YouTube at that time was probably between 5,000, 5,500 hours a year. So I did nothing else. I slept and worked, nothing else the first 3 years. Now I do balance it a lot more. I stream a lot less. I used to stream roughly 4,000 hours per year. Now I'm down to around 3,000. So I have like quite a lot of time to play other games. And obviously, I do a lot more YouTube now. Like the first month of a PoE League, I do 3 videos a day for a month and a half. But the second and
What?
third month of a season, uh,
Oh my god.
I get
Yeah.
quite a lot of time to like I hang out with my family and watch movies with my wife, play with my kids, stuff like that. We have a second
Yeah.
kid coming now in May.
Oh, congrats.
Thanks. So,
That's really nice.
but also I do believe so my dad always worked a lot. He just
Right.
retired now at like 73. So he just always worked a lot. So I never really
Yeah.
got to spend a shit ton of time with my dad. Like we would go on holidays and stuff. But I would rather just work a ludicrous amount until my kid is like 6 or 5, and then have a
Right.
lot more time to spend with them from between the years like 5. I really want to spend a lot of time with my kids between the age 5 and 16. Whereas,
Yeah.
especially the first 2 years of your kid's life, they are a potato that can barely speak. They do very little in the first year, especially.
Little potato.
Yeah. And I have a very
Yeah, we got
supportive wife, so it's great.
yeah, and I think that's kind of like the key to all of this, isn't it? Is to have I have also a very supportive wife, and I feel like it's
Oh, that's
just
awesome.
makes everything so much easier because I have a rhythm that's kind of crazy now,
Yeah.
and I'm still not happy with it because I work like 8 to 5, and I'm from home. Very grateful, very lucky I can do that. And then I just jump straight onto YouTube, and then I try to do YouTube until like 9, 10. So when I say YouTube, it can be anything. It can be writing scripts. It can be preparing actually a Twitch stream or whatever,
Yeah.
and having a supportive partner who kind of doesn't make you feel bad for it, because I have been in relationships where it's like you would make me feel bad for that, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, for spending all this time, also considering like this is not financially viable right now for me.
Yeah.
Like I'd probably make more money, stacking shelves, but it's a dream, so you follow the dream. And yeah, having a partner who understands that and supports you is absolutely a
And
key, I think.
is that the goal that you want to go full time?
Yeah, and it's very funny because I'm still unsure what that's gonna look like for me. But I've really caught on to streaming. I'm really enjoying it. We recently had a stream last Thursday on Twitch where the chat got me through like my first Shaper. So the first time I beat Shaper, I got to be careful because I get the names wrong all the time. So we got through Shaper, and it took like 3 times to beat him,
Yeah.
and it was just such a thrill. And then when we did it, the chat went crazy, and people were subscribing, and I just felt it's a huge dopamine hit. I think I'll say it
That's
that way.
awesome.
Yeah, and before I streamed, my favorite games before playing Diablo last year and all that, my favorite games were always like Souls games.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, I'm a huge fan of all the Souls games, Demon
You must
Souls.
be excited for No Rest for the Wicked then.
Yeah, so I've actually recorded a video where I'm like, these are my upcoming ARPGs 2024, and no Rest for the Wicked was there. The team who
Yeah,
made Ori, I believe, Ori and the
it
Blind
is. Yeah.
Forest made that game. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I've seen people playing it. I haven't had a chance. I haven't gotten the chance yet, but I'll get to it eventually. Um, yeah, and I am definitely excited for that, but it kind of connects to the challenge. So I'm kind of really vibing with the idea of challenges at the moment. So I'm planning on trying, like, your league got me onto hardcore, like playing hardcore. I was like, wait a second, like this gauntlet stuff is pretty fun.
Nice.
Uh yeah, it was really good. And I got way further than I thought thanks to that guide on your YouTube channel. That was
That's
really
awesome.
that was great.
How far did you
Yeah.
get?
So I only streamed it once, because timetables, and so I streamed it once, and I got mid Act 2 basically in one evening. I died once, I think, or
Nice.
twice, and it was always
It's
on the
very hard.
first that first boss. Can't remember his name.
Hele
So
or Brutus.
yeah. No, wait, what's
Helix
that?
like the one on the beach, and Brutus is the one in the prison.
Yeah, there you go. That first one. So yeah, that the bit of that. Yeah, and so I was like, oh my god, this is. I love the pressure of having the stream on, and people like kind of like they were putting bets with the points and stuff, seeing if I
Yeah.
was gonna die. I was like, this is my stuff. I love this. So it kind of puts me in a weird position. So what to answer your question, Do I want to do this full time? Yeah, of course, of course. I'm very addicted right now to planning streams, planning challenges. Again, I have a fantastic moderator team who are beyond helpful to explain and be patient with me because obviously the depth of Path of Exile is just unending. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to doing more challenges and stuff like that for sure. I'd like to hear the story of how you started creating these private leagues because myself and the moderator team I talked to you about are planning on doing our first private league next league. And yeah, how did you get started creating these private leagues and challenges? How did that go about?
So it started with the fact that there was getting less and less race events in Path of Exile. There used to be really big racing seasons. We would get like 2 weeks of racing and loads of events every day, like 10 events every day. And it was super cool. They just stopped doing them. I believe they thought it was bad for player retention, and it would burn people
Okay.
out. So
Yeah.
they stopped doing them, and more and more of us were like, when are events coming back, and when are races coming back? And then we realized they're not coming back. They're never coming back. The Chinese version of Path of Exile invited all the Western racers to an event, and it was basically just normal Path of Exile, but in a private league with like lots of things turned up, like lots of dangerous things, and then it was like try to kill bosses. And I was like, that's such a cool idea. Let's do that. Put even more crack on it, like even more damage mods, and then make the like solid goals for everything. So it was sort of inspired by that. And I remember we started trying to get a prize pool together. And I would reach
Yeah.
out to companies, and I was like, because we had good numbers and stuff from the events I was doing.
Yeah.
And it started first with just a Shaper event, and I was trying to get together like a $2,000 prize pool. And I remember I reached out to several companies, and they were like, "We can give you some mouse and keyboards." And I'm like, "We already have like really good numbers. Like we should at least get $2,000." And I
Yeah.
just ended up just putting that up myself, and I was like, "Fuck it, okay, guys, $2,000 prize pool. I'm the sponsor. Let's do it."
Yeah.
And I just started making more and more events and getting more and more traction. And by the time we actually hit our first big sponsor, I think it was negative $40,000 for everything. A
What?
lot of that was private league costs because early on we did have to pay for that ourselves. Obviously, now we are getting more support from GDD, so they make the private league for us, so we don't have to pay for the slots and stuff. Because
Yeah.
some of the leagues were getting like 10,000 people and stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was growing a lot. And then Shopify messaged me on Twitter, K Scott 13. And he was like, who do we talk to about events in Path of Exile? And I was like, me, you talk to
This
me?
guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when Shopify joined, then it started like a lot of other sponsors. It's kind of like pre-approval almost. It's like the fact that Shopify was working on this that made us like more legit.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
yeah, after that we've been getting more and more. It's just been growing. So like now the last continent had 40,000 people playing. That's
Yeah, that's
like unique
amazing.
accounts. It was like
Yeah, that's insane.
260,000 characters.
Is this your biggest one so far?
No, I think it's the third biggest. We made a really easy and accessible one, and I think that had 56,000 people. So
Right.
we generally alternate between like really hard, like you are going to die repeatedly,
Yeah.
um, and really hard. So this was our most successful one though, in
Okay.
terms of viewership.
Yeah, congrats. I mean, obviously it was stacked in terms of streams. There were so many streams and things going on. It must have been exhausting, but also
It was
obviously
very
awesome.
fun. It was great.
Yeah, yeah. The React reels and all that, I really had a good time with it. I don't really usually watch React videos.
Yeah.
They don't jive with me, and so but those I definitely watched because I was like, these guys are crazy. I learned there's a guy called Ben, and he's insane. I
Ben
watched
is
his video.
insane.
He's got this random YouTube channel, and it's got like no description or whatever. And I go in
The
there and I look
stuff
at his
that he
YouTube, and
says, he's crazy.
yeah, and he's a very good player also.
Very good. Extremely.
Can
He's very
I?
good at very many games, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a pro WoW player as well in like the world first guilds.
Oh.
He's just the best at everything. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is you guys are definitely having that. You work so hard, but it feels like you're very involved and you enjoy this lifestyle. Basically, you enjoy
I do.
doing all this, and I
It's
get
great.
it. It's like hanging out with your friends every day in a way, which I do
Yeah.
I do enjoy that.
Yeah. What were you
Can I
going to
ask you
say?
like
Hmm.
I was just gonna ask you about those early days on Twitch, because I don't know much about Twitch, and maybe you've got people watching. I know that in the Path of Exile community, there's actually quite a lot of people who just stream. You know, that's their hobby. They love to stream the game. Did you see much growth when you were working like, 12 hours a day, 15 hours a day, I'm sure, like just streaming? Was the idea to just like saturate Twitch so that you would just show up every day? Or did you have a strategy that was like, I'm going to do YouTube videos and then people will trickle to my Twitch? Or was it the opposite?
No, I had a very set plan on everything. So when I started streaming, I had a goal that I was going to get partnered within 6 months, and hopefully a lot sooner than that. But then if I wasn't partnered within a year, I would quit streaming and try to find a real job.
Can I
And
ask you what does partner mean?
oh, partner. So on Twitch, you get affiliate. That there wasn't affiliate back then. So partner is basically getting a sub button. And back then, you needed 800 concurrent viewers to get partner. So to get a sub button. And then they just made it easier and easier. And now there's affiliate. So now it's like quite easy to get a sub button at least. But
Yes.
back then it was really hard. And I got partnered 6 or 7 weeks after starting streaming. And part of that
That's kind of
was,
bonkers to me
yeah.
because technically people, I know you hear about people streaming to 0 people for weeks. What was the difference with you, you think?
So I had a strategy, and I have like made a few videos and stuff giving tips and stuff to people. Like you should never
Okay.
start streaming to one viewer because no one's gonna find you. You're just gonna be buried in any category. So
Yeah.
I always had like big communities around me in every game I played. And like the most recent one right before I started streaming, it was Ark Survival Evolved. I had like a private server with like 50, 60 people on it, and we had like a team speak, so there'd be loads of people I talked to there every day. And before that, it was
Good
EVE
old days of
Online,
TeamSpeak.
Darkful
Yeah.
Online, and I just had so many online gaming friends. So I just asked everyone I'd ever played a game with, like, hey, I'm gonna start streaming. It would mean a lot to me if you could have my stream open. I said that to my entire family as well. So I probably messaged like 300 people, like, hey, I'm gonna start streaming. If you can have my stream open, that'd be great. I'll be
Yeah.
live all the time. And I streamed. I would roughly do like 25 to 30 hour streams, and then I would sleep 4 hours, and I would go again. And that was part of my strategy. And so I started with like anywhere between 10 to 15 viewers every day, and then it just caught on pretty fast. And that plus just competing a lot, I would normally be rank 1 or rank 2 on the ladder. And back then, Path of Exile had the way the ladder would work, it would automatically open the number 1 rank if it was live. So like people would see that and be like, oh, I'm gonna go watch this stream, and they would click on it and be like, hey, you're rank 1, I want to watch. So that
That's
helped a
so
lot.
interesting.
Yeah. So it
Right,
was very
right.
different back then. I didn't do YouTube until I did my first YouTube video like 3 months after I started, or 2 months after I started. It was actually interviewing Steel Mage, and then just slowly started to make more and more YouTube content. But in the start, I also did my own editing, which was hell.
Yeah, I usually try to get an editor for most of my stuff now because of time, just because of
Yeah.
time.
It's so hard to do
You
both.
Yeah, you can be a perfectionist on your YouTube video. There's never, you have to be okay with like pressing an export at some point, and that can,
Yeah.
it's hard.
100%.
What are you expecting in terms of launch for Path of Exile 2? Do you think it's gonna be a good experience for new people? Do you think
I
they've kind
hope
of,
so. But
yeah,
I'm worried because
yeah,
I can't remember what developer said it, but when you try to make a game for everyone, you make a game for no one. I think that's very true.
yeah,
So I'm worried that they'll lose their way a little bit by trying to make the game too accessible, that it will end up becoming that goopy mesh of a game that, isn't really for anyone. So I hope they don't. But yeah, I mean, we can't do anything but wait and see. I'm very thankful that we were getting to keep PoE 1. And I would love to see how you get depth without complexity in a game, because that seems to be what they've been saying they're aiming, right? They want the game to be a lot less complex but still give you a lot of depth. I don't know if that's possible. I don't think it is,
no,
but I'm very
it's
willing to
tough.
be
Yeah.
proven wrong. So
I feel like
um
I've heard that before also, like the depth and the complexity thing. But I think you touched on something that was like, struck a chord with me earlier on, where you were talking about the fact that this game is for a certain community, I guess,
yeah,
and they're your core community. So it must be a bit of a juggling act for GGG to think of like, we want to get more people in, but we don't want to alienate, the people who are the closest to us at the same time.
yeah,
So yeah, I was also extremely surprised to hear about Path of Exile sticking around. Like I was like, oh, you're
I'm
actually gonna
very happy
keep
about
both
that.
games.
I was
Yeah,
initially, so I initially heard it one day early. It got leaked, and people were talking about it on Reddit, and I was like, "That can't be true. That's so fucking stupid. There's no fucking way they're that stupid. That would be a disaster." But then the more and more I thought about it, I was like, "Oh, I'm so happy they're doing that." Because if I fucking hate Path of Exile 2, at least I have PoE 1. And at the end of the day, I don't play PoE 1 for 3 or 4 months anymore because I'm at 25,000 hours now. And the fact that I still enjoy the game is crazy. Normally, I burn out at a game after like 15,000 hours. So this is the game I like played the most.
yeah.
And yeah, so the fact that if I get like a month of PoE 1 or a month of PoE 2 and then a little bit longer of whichever one I enjoy the most, that's probably going to be great. And then we have last Epoch, maybe Diablo 4 will get their shit together. Torchlight Infinite, maybe they remove the pay to win. I don't know. I'm a dreamer. But
I can tell.
yeah.
So you're definitely planning on playing both, basically. It feels like we're just gonna get more
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be fun to compare them also,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's a bright
That's cool.
future. You started ARPG streaming at a good time.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this year. I think it's probably going to be a huge year for ARPG games. We've got the new Diablo expansion coming out, which I hope, as you said, they'll get their shit together for itemization. That would
Yeah,
be amazing.
I hope so.
And Path of Exile 2 is going to be huge. I'm hoping that they're all. I just want good games, man. So I want them to all succeed so that we can all have fun with them. That's for sure. And I hope that I can continue streaming also, that I can continue growing and yeah, get to know all the community. It's been
Yeah.
like one at a time. I'm really
And
grateful that you had me on, by the way.
are you going to be multi-streaming to both Twitch and YouTube going forward now?
There's a
You
part of
should
me that's
do.
like, why not? I guess the question is like, yeah, why not? If anything, I'm trying to get better at like reading two chats at the same time. You should see my
I think
screen
you can
setup. It's
merge them.
ridiculous. Yeah, if I can just find that tool, I'll get it done. That's kind of like Nick's Vellum in a nutshell. It's like, oh, you can do that. Like I've got people have to hold my hand quite a bit. But yeah, I'll definitely look into like merging the chats together and following the TNCs also of Twitch. It's been such a ride learning how Twitch works. I got affiliated recently,
That's awesome.
which was huge. Yeah, it was really big, and so I kind of hope that I can. I don't know what the point is where I can just go, okay, cool. I can quit the job now. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a very scary jump, but I'm really hoping I can get to there eventually, and
Have
I
very,
think
very clear
eventually.
goals, especially sub goals and things.
Yeah, sub goal. I'm still kind of figuring out subs. Like every stream, something happens, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. Last time that the hype train was happening,
Right.
yeah, people voting on stuff and
That's
points.
fun.
I was like, you guys have points? And they're like, yeah, well, you don't have anything to unlock with points. You got to set that up. I'm like, oh my God.
That's fun.
So yeah, it is fun. It is fun. And I hope I can also make a body of work that I can look back
See,
on with
with
pride, for sure.
points, you have such a benefit by being a VTuber because you can have things like they can knock off your head and stuff. Like, there's so many things you can do there. You can't really do that as a human. Like, my head needs to stay on.
Yeah,
Um,
I definitely have to learn a lot about what being a VTuber is also. Like I didn't
yeah.
really know what that means and the software that we use and stuff like that. It's a whole thing. But I also like the flexibility it gives me to, we're planning, as I mentioned, we're planning like a private league in the next season and stuff like that. And I'm able to just like talk to
Awesome.
a visual person and be like, hey, can you change graphic designer? That's the word. To be like, hey, can you change his outfit? Like give him the coolest armor possible, which is not necessarily something you can do in real life. So that's also
Yeah. Oh,
that's
that's
also
cool.
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. So now that to close this off, I guess I think I'm finding my niche
Yeah.
with people, and it has to do a lot with mentoring. I think I'm surrounded by people who are really good at Path of Exile, and they've been so kind to me,
That's awesome.
and I feel like that's what and welcoming also and so
Yeah.
patient. Like the amount of times I brick a craft on stream and people are like yelling in the chat not to do it with the delay. Oh my God. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is like I think going forward, the Nyx Vellum community is going to be that. It's going to be trying to help people get into these tough games that are
That's
so
awesome.
rewarding, and yeah, that's what we're going to be focusing on as well. Because I'm still
Cool.
learning everything, you know. So I don't feel like I can start talking about, hey, here's how you build a build that's amazing in hardcore
Well,
games. Like
there's a lot of value in learning alongside someone.
yeah,
Because
absolutely. And
when you make teaching content for something that you have 25,000 hours in, you miss a lot of things that you don't know that you didn't know when you were new.
is that a pressure that you have at the moment when you do? Because you do quite a few videos that are like, this is the
Yeah,
build or this
the
is the thing.
majority of my stuff is focused around new players. We do take like an insane amount of feedback, and I do reach out and talk to new players a lot. And something I've done a lot too is I would show my parents or I would show my wife, and I would be like, "Does this make sense?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Are you serious? Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. So you'd show them and then be like, okay.
Not for
How did
everything,
that go
but
down? Do they understand where you were coming from, the content and
for
stuff?
like the
Or
for like the super basic guides, I try to do that because if they can understand it and they can follow along, they don't play video games, then that's good.
yeah, none of my friends play video games.
Mhm.
Like for the longest time, I was just like this loner on the internet, and suddenly I have this audience and these friends,
Yeah,
and that's been something that's been quite insane. And also, I have people like that, friends in real life who are like, "We watched your stream. It's crazy. I
that's
didn't understand a
awesome.
thing, you know, but it's fun."
That's so cool.
So yeah, it's good. It's good, and I think this year is going to be fantastic also for ARPGs.
I think it'll be a wonderful year. Not so much for game companies, but it's a wonderful year for gamers. Um,
Yeah, I could go on about that. I'm trying to follow it. I'm kind of in that industry, so
yeah,
like parallel. So I kind of see what's going on. It's actually quite sad
yeah,
and
it is.
frustrating also. GGG has been exempt from it for now, I think,
Yeah,
or did they? Yeah, they've been. I
yeah,
don't. They
no
have a
layoffs.
very particular business model also, don't they? Because they've had this game for 10 years, and I think they just work off the
Yeah,
microtransactions, right?
I wouldn't be surprised if there's layoffs after PoE2 is finished, because I'm assuming you don't need as many people to continue making a game as you need making a game under
Yeah,
process
that's
like
true.
this. I would
That's
assume at
true.
least. I'd be surprised.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think that's pretty. It's pretty spot on. I'm curious also about obviously No Rest for the Wicked, like
Yeah,
that team. Been working on this for quite a bit after or the Ori games. Also, I'm really curious about Titan Quest 2. Because I feel like that's been kind of in the rafters forever. We've been talking about it, kind of. We had a very weird trailer that was like a PlayStation trailer, and I'm thinking, all right, what is this? What are you guys doing? I think it's very tough today to
yeah,
come out with an ARPG.
very. You're
Because
instantly
like
going to get compared against Path of Exile, which sucks for
it
people.
just immediately,
Yeah,
absolutely, and I don't think that's a fair comparison. So I think that's why Last Epoch. Actually it's kind of amazing
it
that Last
is
Epoch
and
got
it
away with
isn't.
it.
It is and it isn't because so you're right. And people always say like, "What was Path of Exile like at launch?" It's like, yes, you're right, but it doesn't matter. If you're buying a car today, right? You're not gonna go like, "Well, cars 10 years ago were much worse. This company's been making cars for years," right?
Mm.
You're gonna choose to spend your time where you're having the most time, irregardless.
That's a good point. I think when Diablo 4 came out, I could see where they had this kind of what we call an MVP in that like the minimum viable product is what they launched, and I felt like they've put a lot of effort in the campaign and stuff like that, and they had an end game, but it was missing a lot of stuff there. There was no real end game or like rotation that was kind of good, and so I was thinking, okay, they're gonna need another 10 years to get to where Path of Exile is now,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to think like as a company, how do you justify potentially this minimum viable product, which is it has to be at least as good as Path of Exile? Is
Well,
that
they're
even
also
attainable?
targeting a very different audience, and they have such a big fan base. They've probably already made like 10 times more money in like 3 days of the Diablo 4 launch than PoE 1 and 2 will ever make. They're just such a behemoth of a company.
Do you think it's that much of a divide between those two companies in
Maybe
terms of
not as extreme as the example I just gave, but yeah,
right? Yeah, I mean the numbers for Last Epoch were pretty good, right? They went up to 220K players.
258.
Wow. So
Yep,
I was very so see that it's
I was
kind of
very surprised.
snowballed. Yeah, me too, because they had 188 on launch, I think, or maybe 160 on launch,
Yeah,
and that bricked the online.
yeah, that was rough.
Um, that was rough, but they had an offline. And let me tell you that like when stuff is on the cutting floor to make a deadline,
Yeah.
I feel like it's amazing that that was in the game. I feel it, you
Yeah.
know.
100%.
I think that's incredible. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm quite surprised, not surprised. I'm really happy actually. I'm really happy that they were able to pull it off. I think Last Epoch has a very bright future,
Same.
and I believe that it's gonna fit somewhere between Diablo 4 and Path of Exile, I think. And I want to play it as I'm talking to you right now. I'm like, oh yeah, wow, that's what I want to
Yeah.
do right now.
No,
Yeah.
I mean they're capitalizing so hard on the fact that Diablo 4 fucked up a lot. And it isn't that much more complicated than Diablo 4, so they're getting a lot of Diablo players right now.
Yeah,
A
I
lot.
was also expecting that to happen. And it's accessible, as I mentioned, and they have a lot of like the tools that Path of Exile requires, like the filters, for example. They have that in their game.
Yeah, it's
And
so nice.
I oh,
It's
it's
wonderful.
so nice. You know what? Today
Mhm.
I actually tweaked two filters, one for Last Epoch, for my build, and then I went to Path of Exile because I also had to
Yeah.
tweak a build for like a challenge, and I was like, one is easier than the other.
Well,
Obviously, Path of Exile has all these stats and stuff, but yeah, I am inherently I don't. I'm a bit scared of games who require external tools to like play them. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I'm very happy that Last Epoch came out with all these tools in them, and there's still tools being created. Like I think LE tools is a thing .com or
Hmm.
whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are needed.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, it's a bright year of both streaming for you, hopefully, and for games for both of us up ahead. It's going to be really
Do you have
fun to
any?
like watch you progress and stuff. I'm excited.
Yeah, as we wrap this up, do you have any tips for someone like me who's at this point in Twitch and YouTube?
Do goals all the time. Set a goal, like a mission. Like Steel Mage is very good at this. Like, this is what we're doing. This is what we're working towards. Make people part of that journey and do that constantly.
Yeah, that's a very good piece of advice. I think we're planning something a bit like that with this private league because it's going to be like a bit of a crowdfunding thing. So yeah, I think we'll go that direction. Goals,
Yeah.
love it. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem. It was super exciting to meet you. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to see your journey. So,
Yeah, thanks for giving a small YouTuber a chance. Also, you didn't have to, so I really appreciate it.
it's fun. I love talking to people. Either way, everyone, make sure you check him out. We'll have all the links and stuff in the description down below, both for his YouTube and his Twitch. Such a wonderful time. Really cool dude. Make sure you check him out. Thank you so much to everybody watching. Hope you had a wonderful time. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.
See ya.